make this, and it's not going to break me. And I'm telling you this story because you may need it. You may know somebody that needs it, but it's part of the tools and resources that if you don't need it, you know someone that does. So let's get on with the day. After he died, I had to look at money. He was not a good businessman because he left me in debt that a debt that I was so overwhelmed with. And I had people telling me I would be okay, and I did not believe them. After everything was tallied, there was $350,000 of my money that should have never been in the mix, and it was. 6 weeks after, you have to wait till you get the death certificate before you can do life insurance. You have to get the death certificate before you can get things in your name. You have to get the death certificate if you're not on everything that your spouse has. And I was not on his truck. I was not on one of his bank accounts. I was not on some things because, here's the thing about it. We got married in our 50s and we had lives. And I can't talk for him. I have to be objective in a way because he can't step up and say, that I agree with her or I disagree with her. And I just know what I've experienced. And am I emotional about this? There's still some emotion going on. But let's look at this. Okay. A business deal that he had with one of his suppliers was over $31,000, and that supplier, that businessman, let him run up this deal. You don't let you run a business, you don't let people run up that kind of debt. You take care of your business. And when I talked to him, he said, well, he loved Larry. Excuse me? He loved Larry, doesn't pay his bills. And it came back to bite me, and I dealt with it. The next bill, I went to check on property taxes. When I walked in there April the 12th, in Texas, I don't know if you know, if you homestead in Texas, when you turn 65, you can defer the taxes till your death, and whoever's dealing with it pays it. I had over $17,000 in taxes that were due within like 15 days. Where was I going to get that money when the life insurance hadn't hit yet? There were so many things. And I will tell you, I don't care who you are. When your world has just totally turned upside down, you don't have the ability to breathe someday, much less see how you're going to get out of things. But you do. I did, and I have. So let's look at this. Let's look at your finances. What has come out for me, the success that's come out for me in this may not have happened any other way. And I'm going to tell you this, God's got my back, and I'm excited about that because he's got my back. He's always had my back. And that's my belief system. That as a coach, I also work in a God frequency that God and the angels are my guides. So I moved from Bell County. I'm not a Central Texas person, and I'm okay with that too. But here's the thing about it. I moved to an area where I'm unknown. I moved to an area where I'm starting some new stuff, and that's the primary care of what I'm giving myself. Because I want to come out of this, and my husband was not one that could deal with success outside of himself. When I stepped up and paid property taxes before we married, I stepped up when his business slowed down. He went into a deep depression. So, right, wrong, or indifferent, I made the choice as a committed person in this relationship, in this marriage. And it wasn't a good one. I can tell you that right now. I could probably told you that then, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm talking about is, how do I come out of this financially in a way that I'm going for more than just self-sustaining. I was talking to my banker this morning, and I love this banker. I drive miles to go to this branch because this bank is a family of mine. And I've never had that since I was a teenager. I banked as a teenager on my own name and the things like that. The other big thing that I've had to deal with is how I saw myself. Nobody wants to let everybody know that they made a decision that basically, dug things out and got ready to bury you. And I did. But you know what? I have several people in my life that when I pick up the phone, they give me time. And one of those persons is my mirror, who's been a successful businessman for over 30 years, and his success is multiple six figures a year. And so he's in my face. What are you doing to make sure that you can come out of this? We've gone round and round because right here, I could not see the truth of what I was at that point, because after 12 years of sitting on the back burner, I didn't believe any different about me. Now, I know that's not a truth. Coming out of that and looking at that from a point of how do I build something? I have to change. You guys, change is good, but when you're in the middle of this, a couple of weeks ago I did about grief. 3 or 4 weeks ago I did about boundaries. When you come out of something this intense, you don't know who you are, much less who you want to be. You've got an ideal of a possibility. And I'm very grateful that I have people who have my back. So, what do I need to do to get the immediate roof over my head, food on my table, and other necessities in my life? That's in one column. What do I have to do for my business now? Because, y'all, I'm in my 6th decade. I don't want to go back to corporate, but I also don't want to go back to anything that I've seen since coming back to Texas, which was 19 years ago. So where do these finances play a place, and what difference do I have to do? So I've taken, and I've talked to different people. SCORE is part of the Small Business Administration, and those are experts that come, that are usually retired. They bring their expertise to you free, but you're going to have to invest at some point. The other day, I was talking to, I've met some wonderful people up here. Oh my gosh. I was talking to a retired professional football player, and he played for Houston, he played for Pittsburgh, and he's a business owner, he's a family man, and as you listen to these people, if you're interested in growing a business, if not, then you need to figure out how you're going to be okay with the finances that you're dealing with, what you owe, how much you have coming in. It's common sense stuff, but it's real hard to think about at this point. But as I'm thinking for me, and I will be glad to talk to any of you all along the way, you reach out to me. But I know that I'm coming out. I'm finally, after almost 2 years, coming out of absolute panic, because I've surrounded myself with people who are successful. I've surrounded myself with people that I care about. But as I was the last couple of days, I am now at the point, the finances are here. I know what needs to be done. My business is here. I know what needs to be done. The next steps that I need to add in that place, and also what has really knocked at my heart, knocked at my door, slapped me in the face is, Fran, you're not living life. So how do I get that balance going in? And this is about finances, because nothing grows instantly. So how do I get my life back as I'm growing my business, as we're growing together, as we're in the infant stage? The bottom line, I guess, of what today is about is you have to take a stand. You have to be okay with being scared. You have to know that you can't do it by yourself. And you have to be okay that God's got your back. That's first and foremost, but we don't think that way. What we do think about is, I don't have this, how can I do this, and all those things that are not going to make you happy, and they're not going to keep you secure, and they're not going to keep your feet out of that swamp. And so I hope today that you have gotten something intentionally grounding out of this. I would love to hear your comments. I know that I've been told the feedback I've been given, written and verbal, is that people are grateful that I have started this healing journey in this podcast. Let me know what's in your life that you're building a solid cement foundation, getting your sea legs back as your life has changed. Because it's a little change or a big change, it doesn't matter. You're still going to have to adapt and adjust and say, you know what? I have to get over myself so I can get through this. And that, I think, is the biggest thing out of all of this. I have to get over myself to get through this. And I have to let me grow so I can be more than I've ever wanted to be. Hope y'all are having a great day. Let me hear from you. I'll talk to you next time.